people see all the accolades that you have, but oftentimes they don't see what it took to get there. They don't
Right.
see the 134 hours that you worked your first week. See, this is the caveat as well. Like, you loved it too. Like, people are always
Love it
saying
so
like,
much.
"Oh my gosh, Jacob, you work so much." I'm like, "Yeah, but like I love it. Like, this is my hobby." You know, so
Doesn't feel like work, does it?
exactly. So I'm fine working 18 hours because it's like I don't want to go, do whatever. Like, I love this. So like I think that people don't see that and they're like, "Oh, I just want to get there, but I'm going to work 65 minutes a day."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why isn't it working for me?"
I agree. And I try to mentor as often as I can. I've supported a few students with scholarships and
Wow.
try to talk to people and anybody who take meetings with new producers or engineers or whatever and offer advice. And the main thing is like, if you don't find your passion in life, even not just engineering stuff, even just, my nephew, for example, he's 22 years old, just graduated college. He stayed with me for the summer. The whole purpose of him coming down is, all right, you graduated college. Now it's time to understand what the real world is like. And you have options. One option is you go get a job, you work for somebody, you clock in, you clock out, you get your money, go enjoy your weekends, and hopefully you make enough money where you can go on vacation a couple times a year, if you're lucky and whatnot. The other option is you go in it for yourself, you become an entrepreneur, and you go after it. One version is much harder than the other, much harder, but it affords you a much greater freedom. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to understand what actually goes into it. You don't get to take off when you're tired. You keep going. You keep pushing until you're at
Literally.
a place where you've built enough of an infrastructure around what you do that you can take your vacation or
Yeah.
whatever. But it takes time. It's taken me, now I live a little more of a relaxed life. And so, but that's taken almost 20 years
Yeah.
to get there. I mean, 17 years I've been doing this professionally. I know I don't look that old. I'm still in my 30s, but
Well, you know what blew my mind is the fact that like before I had seen what you'd worked on in the career you developed, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, the guy's in his 30s." I was like, "Shoot, I pictured a 50-year-old guy just based on like what you've done in the past 17 years."
yeah, but there was a lot of sacrifice. I
A
mean,
hundred percent.
I never felt like I worked a day in my life. Like, really, I enjoy everything that I do, but it's tiring. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of annoying things about the music business and a lot of shit you got to deal with.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have another option. And I also sacrificed a lot. I didn't really have a lot of personal relationships. Like, dating was incredibly difficult. Like, I couldn't maintain anything. And you would have to, like, I packed up and left New York and moved to LA because there was more opportunity in LA. And you don't have the same sense of normalcy that you have
Yes.
when you just grow up in a city and go take a job down the street and like
Yeah.
have all your same high school friends. I don't have any high school friends anymore. I mean, they're like so distant. I talked to a few people, but I don't. I gave up everything to focus on one priority. So
Yeah,
and
and
that's what
to some degree, people don't totally understand like how it consumes your mind to some degree, in the sense that like like I mentioned, my wife is a nurse, and it's just funny we're having this conversation because literally last night we were talking about the fact of like she clocks out and that's it. She works 3 12-hour shifts a week, and after those she clocks out and like she comes home, and I was because like
turn her brain off, right?
exactly. And as an entrepreneur, you never do that because there's always something else that you could be doing because nobody else is gonna do it for you. There's not another Jacob that comes in at 6 o'clock that works the overnight shift. Like it's not how it works.
And I've had insomnia for like my entire career, and it's because like I don't know if I'm naturally wired that way or I've just worked so hard that I've trained myself to be that way. But my brain, it's very difficult for my brain to turn off. So I'll be sitting in bed at 3 a.m, just like thinking of ideas and like blah blah, and then you get an idea and you're like, shit, got to go down to the studio, like spend half an hour, just like get the idea out and then go back to bed or whatever. Like this has been my life for so long. And by the way, it's not unique to music, whether because you might have some of your audience that does other things, film or other art,
Yeah,
or
100%.
just finance or this or that. It doesn't matter. Any job you want to do,